This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Every, generation of rock music fans gets an education in some way or other about that particular genre of music. This is the way I'm discovering new music these days via Spotify. You put on an album and Spotify gets to the end of that album and then it thinks, okay, you like this kind of music, so here's a few suggestions, and quite often they reveal bands and artists that I hadn't hitherto heard of or I'd known about but weren't particularly artists or bands that I'd checked out. And, so that's, how I'm discovering new music. It's a topic I've been talking about in a couple of videos recently. But go back to 1984 when I was 17 years old. No internet, even... a music or guitar magazine was 2 bus rides away. How did we figure out new music then? How did we kind of learn about new music then? Compilation albums played a big part in it. The kind of thing that was always advertised on TV by K-Tel or Ronco, or those brands that you don't hear of anymore. But there was one album that I think came out it was either 83 or 84, which really did cement my musical education. Anybody remember this album? Formula 30. It was a double compilation album, and it was just one of those albums, I think, that I owned it, and everybody I knew owned it. I was just starting to get into rock music at the time. And, because rock bands throughout the 70s when I was growing up weren't releasing singles, which is how I heard music, on the radio and on the weekly Top of the Pops BBC show. You didn't get Led Zeppelin on those shows. You didn't get Deep Purple on kind of Radio 1 or, Top of the Pops or something. So you kind of didn't encounter that music or much rock music, just in the general run of things. And then, as I say, 1983 or 84, this album comes out, and it was just a goldmine. Let me read you the track list. Let's get rid of that on there. There we go. So 30 tracks across 2 vinyl LPs. You had the Rolling Stones, Honky Tonk Women, Rod Stewart, Maggie May, Free, All Right Now, Spencer Davis Group, Keep On Running, Roxy Music, Virginia Plain, Derek and the Dominoes, Layla, Jeff Beck, Hi-Ho, Silver Lining. A couple of recent ones, including Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen, Rolling Stones, Satisfaction, Status Quo, Rockin' All Over the World, Bachman Turner, Overdrive, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. Again, another one that was fairly recent at the time, Blondie, Call Me. The Who, Substitute, Small Faces, Shalalalali. The Zombies, She's Not There. Procol Harum, White a Shade of Pale. The Stones again, Let's Spend the Night Together. Roxy Music, Love Is the Drug. Ike and Tina Turner, Nutbush City Limits. Eric Clapton, I Shot the Sheriff. Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing. Another fairly recent one here at the time, Stranglers, Golden Brown. Thunderclap Newman, Something in the Air. Rolling Stones, Jumpin' Jack Flash. Status Quo, Caroline. The Who, Pinball Wizard. Elton John and Kiki D, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. Rod Stewart, You Wear It Well. The Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin, and 10cc, I'm Not in Love. That's a proper compilation album, isn't it? With the exception, I think, of the couple of Roxy Music tracks. A pretty strong selection. It was, I think this album came out just before that whole Now That's What I Call Music series of compilation albums started hitting the shelves in the record shops. And what was really good about this album is that you look at the inside cover. Now, I remember vividly having this album and transferring it to cassette, and then putting the 2 discs into just like the inner sleeves and carefully putting those away in the kind of record rack, as it were. And I put this up on my wall as a poster, because it just looks so rock and roll, doesn't it? It's like somebody they had a brainstorming session and thought, like, what can we do? What kind of, how many rock and roll things can we squeeze into one picture? So you've got, the Fender Telecaster there, cigarette papers and some suspicious looking blue Smarties on top of the Fender Telecaster. Won't say any more about those. You've got the reel of recording tape there, and all kinds of stuff that just looked so rock and roll and cool and just just fantastic. But then down the left hand side in that yellow section there, you can see the track listing, and we're spoiled these days, because if there's anything we want to know about any particular piece of music or whatever, we just go to Wikipedia or whatever, and the information is there. But this is the early 80s, and when you're just starting to learn about rock music and who was in this band, and they were also in that band, and that's how these 2 bands are connected. That's why I was a big fan of that TV show that started a little bit later, Rock Family Trees. The information that was in each little paragraph that you can see there after all of the tracks was really just kind of helped me join the dots about, who was who in the rock music industry, and, who were the important movers and shakers, and, the fact that someone like Rod Argent was in a band The Zombies, and then he went on to form Argent, and then Russ Ballard, who was the singer in Argent, wrote Since You've Been Gone, that Rainbow had a big hit with, and just those kind of little connections like that maybe I'm just the prince of trivia, and it's that sort of stuff interests me, but I just found it fascinating learning about this wonderful music that I was just discovering. As I say, growing up in the 70s, I was a massive kind of 50s rock and roll revival kind of fan, because that was the big thing in the 70s. You had Happy Days on TV, and Grease was the big movie, and bands like Shawaddy Waddy were and Shanana and Shakin' Stevens, and that was all what was in the top 40. And it's only a very short kind of step from that to getting into blues, and then from blues, you're kind of heading towards classic rock. And it was this kind of early 80s period when I was beginning to kind of get my bearings in the world of classic rock, and this album, Formula 30, is very much what I have to thank for introducing me to some really, really fantastic music. What I've done, if you're interested in checking this album out, is I've put a Spotify playlist together that is all of the tracks from that album that I just read out earlier in the original running order. So, if you're interested in reliving the early 80s, if you have this album, then go and check out the link to that Spotify playlist. It's downstairs in the description. Well, that's pretty much the video for today, folks. I just thought I'd have a little bit of nostalgia, revel in it a little bit, and talk about an album that I suppose was quite important in my musical education. There you go. If you have any memories of albums that have a similar place in your hearts that really, as I say, kick-started your musical education, allowed you to start making decisions about what you like and what you don't like. It was largely through that album that I realised, I'm not a big fan of Roxy music. But there you go. So if you have any albums that had a similar effect on you, tell me about it in the comments section. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. But that is very much the video for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and whatever else crops up. Great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.